Peace. Good morning, girlfriends. This is Angela Jordan Perry with Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling, and it is that time for another interview. So we're going to get our guest in, and as you join in, let me know where you are viewing us from, okay? Let us know where you're homeschool, and then also as you come in, be sure to share, because sharing is caring. We're going to get our guest speaker on today, our interviewee, and we will be all set. Hi, Cynthia. Good morning. Peace to you, my sister. Yes, it's going to be great. Another great interview coming our way. I guess you'll be up here in just a moment. Yes. All right, let's give her a moment to get all settled. She is viewing us from a remote location, not in her normal space. So we have to go with the punches, and prayerfully everything will work. Thanks everyone for joining in. We're going to give this another try. All right, we're all set there. Let's see if we can't get her on here. All right, we're just going to wait here patiently. So technology is just so funny. Now, we've given a few test runs, and it said it is ready. And so we just need to get her on here. Tauleece Thomas is our guest. Hey, Tremaine, good morning. Peace, sister. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see if we can do this now. Yes, hi, Tauleece. See if it's going to work for us.
Okay.
Right. Yes, there you are. Woo! All right. So I think we're in business. Tauleece, are you all set now?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, here we go. All right, girlfriends, you all make sure sharing is caring. So share our feed onto your page, and we're about to get going here. All right. 3, 2, 1. Girlfriends, it's Guide to Homeschooling. I'm turned up for this interview. Let me tell you, yes, our guest speaker is in a remote location, not in her hometown of Texas.
Yes.
She's in Tennessee. So we are making it work. Her commitment to this interview is heartwarming. So thank you, Tauleece. So as we get started, let me let you know what this is and what these two melanated women are doing in your feed if you just have popped up and seen us here. So this is Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling, and I'm the host. I'm Angela Jordan Perry. I am out of South Carolina. My family and I, we live in the northwest part of South Carolina, where we make our home as small self-sustaining farmers, okay? But this platform here is to give voice to the African diasporic homeschooling community, okay? This is what this is all about. And also those who are in the margins of homeschooling. Share their journeys, their successes, their triumphs, their challenges, nuggets of wisdom and insights to help you who may be considering homeschooling, what ways you can homeschool and the way it can look. And if you are already homeschooling, perhaps this is to give you some encouragement to keep doing what you're doing and why it's important that you even do what you're doing as far as homeschooling, okay? So we have Tauleece Thomas with you, and we're going to get started in just a minute. Again, I'm a homeschooling mom of 8 children, been homeschooling now for 18 years, and I serve the community here in South Carolina by giving legal rights for those to homeschool. They have to join an option. Option 3 is most likely what they would join, and I say, yep, join my association. And if you follow these laws, you have legal rights to homeschool. So they have to abide by that. And I work closely with them to do that. So my purpose-driven life is to make a positive impact on thousands of homeschoolers worldwide. I do that in part serving my community here in South Carolina and the entire state, and then also on Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. And soon coming is educating our own. Really excited about that. That's going to be another platform for us.
Excellent.
All right. So you all will hear more about that. Stay tuned. We're getting things together in the commercial and all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, Tauleece.
Hey.
Are you ready to make it happen?
I am. And thank you so much for your patience with all of my morning. My life is kind of turned upside down in a good way, though, right now. Had some major changes happen in the last pretty much 30 to 45 days, which is how I find myself in Tennessee for this
Wow.
week.
Wow.
But all good things and things that allow us to continue our journey, our lifestyle of homeschooling. So, you know, some days you got to make it work more than other days, but it still works. So we're still good. We're still good.
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you all about Tauleece Thomas, girlfriends. Listen to her bio. Tauleece is married 25 years to Roger, mother of five, ages 24, 21, 19, 14, and 12. She's been homeschooling her and her husband since 2007, prompted by her husband's doing, okay?
Not me.
Professionally, Tauleece is a graduate of Howard University, 1992, and Texas A&M School of Law in 1998. Licensed Texas attorney since 1999, former assistant district attorney in Tarrant County, Texas, solo practice attorneys, which is the Thomas firm, since 2001, eDiscovery and Litigation Project Manager since 2005. Tauleece co-founded Homeschool Resource Network. It's an educational consulting and excursion in 2012. As far as her homeschooling and family life, again, 5 children, 4 sons, 1 daughter, 3 homeschool graduates in 2012, 2014, and 2016. 2 college graduates in
Yeah.
2016 and 2018. Eclectic homeschooling style is what they have. Workbook and project-based learning. Field trips are an important part of learning, is what Tauleece says. Her motto is homeschooling is a lifestyle. Embrace it. So
Yes.
family hashtag she has there. You can read more about all of this in her bio, how to contact her and other things. But they homeschool because they believe it was the healthiest way to ensure that their children received a stellar education and preparation for the world that awaits them. So without further ado, girlfriends, I have shared just a bit about Tauleece Thomas, originally out of Texas, founding herself this morning in Tennessee.
Yes.
Tauleece, if there's anything else to tell about you, please share, and then also share how you even got started in this homeschooling journey, which was prompted by your husband. Let us know about that.
Well, my husband actually was a public school teacher. He's a licensed public school teacher in Texas. He taught school in Dallas. He's taught school in Fort Worth. He's taught school in Austin. And there came a time when our oldest son was about to enter kindergarten, and my husband was like, maybe we should consider homeschooling, or at that time we did look at like private school. He just didn't like where he saw public school going. There was this huge push of teach to the test, and he felt like kids were being trained rather than educated. Of course, I was like, well, we live in a good neighborhood. We live near the good schools. Why would we homeschool? I never, ever, ever would have thought of homeschooling. Plus, I had just passed the bar and was about to go into practice as an assistant district attorney. So I was like, well, the elementary school near us is great. So let's just go with that. And so we did put our kids in public school to start with. And then over the years, the things that he sort of foresaw, I began to see. And, we had 3 boys in school. For a while, we moved from Texas to the DC area because my work took us there. So from 2005 to 2007, we lived in College Park, Maryland, and I worked in DC. And at that time, my husband opted to leave the classroom and become the full-time at-home parent because the work that I was doing was a lot of hours. I mean, I was working like 80 hours a week. And so, but the income was able to replace his salary as a teacher and then some. So it gave him the opportunity to be the primary influence with the boys, because at that time we only had boys. And so when we moved to Maryland, I continued to see the things that he had brought up. Just, with us having African American sons, there was this lesser standard of expectation. And when we had a higher standard of expectation, we were told we were being unrealistic, that, that was actually one, we had a teacher tell us that was mental abuse for us to have a standard that we had with our students. And we actually had CPS called on us and had to like explain. Now that wasn't in Maryland, that was still in Texas, but just kind of a lot of the same things. And so I think the deal breaker for us is when we were in Maryland and our oldest son was in the 7th grade in junior high. He tested very well on the state test in math. And so he was placed in a high school algebra class at, at the middle school, but at 7th grade. Yet he was coming home every day and we were literally having to reteach everything, and we didn't understand why that was the case. And then we came to find out there were 45 7th graders in a high school algebra class. First of all, maturity wise, that just was not a good scenario. And so we inquired as to whether there were any plans to maybe split the class in half so that the kids could get more individualized attention. And it was like, well, they did well on the test, so they'll be fine. And we were like, okay, that's not going to work for us. And that was the beginning of the end of our time in public school. And literally within, I think, maybe a week or so, we withdrew them. At that time, we also knew that we were about to be moving back to Texas. And so we just took them out of school there in Maryland. We de-schooled for about maybe 4 or 5 months. So they helped with the move home and everything. But we definitely just were like, hey, we can do whatever we want to do. And we did. And so that started it for us. We looked at each other and said, if we start, we're going to see it all the way through to the last one finishes. There's not going to be any put them back in public school. Let's try private school. Let's try a charter school. If we're homeschooling from the rooter to the tutor. So our youngest daughter, our only daughter, she was only a year when we started homeschooling. So she's never been to public school. And then our youngest son was 4 when we started homeschooling. So he's never been to public school. So we pulled the 3 older boys out and we started Thomas Academy Preparatory School. We moved back to Texas. We got a motto, we got a mascot, we made shirts, we created our own school. The kids have a chant. And it just became our lifestyle. And so then we started to put our work around homeschooling. So if work doesn't support homeschooling, then that's not a job opportunity for us. That is our commitment. So there have been plenty of opportunities professionally that we've had to turn down. Myself as an attorney, my husband, when he left teaching, he actually went back to what his education is in business. And he went back to doing small business consulting, helping small businesses grow. But we always keep before us, if it doesn't complement homeschooling, then this is not the season to do that, because we can do those things when our daughter graduates. But right now, everything we bring into the mix must complement, support, and uplift us homeschooling. And so it's great because I'm sitting here on the first day at a new job right now. And in my interview, I said, I'm a homeschool mom, I'm committed to homeschooling. And so, I need to work remote. I need to be able to be at home. Oh, that's great. That's fine. And pretty much every job I've had since homeschooling, my private practice, clearly it's mine. So I can put it around homeschooling, but I do other things. I don't believe in one stream of income ever. I will never do that again. I learned the hard way on that one. So, it's a great lifestyle. We love it. We've recently started to add more travel to it. So We started through our company, HRN. We started planning educational excursions, trips, field trips. We were already doing that with our co-op group, our social group, which is Homeschool BFF here in the Houston, well, there in the Houston area, which we helped to found back in 2010 with two other families. And I'm the activities coordinator. So I plan all the field trips and get everything coordinated. But in our personal business, we also have branched out and added educational excursions to our consulting, to our testing, everything. And so we truly have made homeschooling our lifestyle. And, we like the results we're getting. We've got 3 graduates. We haven't paid a dime for college. That's why our family hashtag is we don't pay for degrees around here. And the kids learn that very, very early. But I think our homeschool style allows for that to be sort of cultivated, that independence, that I can make my own way. I can pay for school with my mind. And the only person who can take that from me is me if I don't do my work, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But we also use it as an opportunity to give them a broader range of exposure and activities that maybe they wouldn't necessarily get in public schools. So, all the kids, with the exception of the younger two, because they're just coming into this age, they've all traveled internationally. That is something that when I was growing up, I didn't do. I didn't travel internationally until I went on my honeymoon. My husband did a little bit when he was a child, but maybe, I think he went to London as a kid. But that's something that's very important to us. And we emphasize that and how that you more novel as a global citizen and things like that. So, we love it. It works for us. People think we're crazy sometimes, of course, but it's allowed us to be very close as a family. Our kids are friends, which I love. It prompted us writing a book. So we wrote a book called Raising Spirits, 3010 Encouraging Words About Parenting Future Generations. It's just an ebook. And it came from people asking us questions who had younger children about stages that we've already gone through in parenting. And so from answering those questions, we kind of compiled them and published a book back in 2013. And it's been able to really help some folks. Folks are, they'll send me an inbox message and say, hey, I read this in your book and, we were struggling with this in our homeschool or, in our parenting. So it's been really, really great to watch the homeschool lifestyle grow and start to be so many other things.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you have shared so much in that little bit of insight right there as your intro. One of the things you said, I'm sure the girlfriends want to know this too. The school, when your boys were in school, you said that, there was a lesser standard of expectation for them in school, and that they considered that mental abuse for what you all were expecting. Tell us, what were you expecting of your boys?
In our household, we have, our standard is 90 and above. Nobody has any mental, deficiencies or anything. Nobody has like dyslexia or, any type of learning disability. As such, you must always do your best. And we know I'll accept less than 90 if I know you did your best and just couldn't get 90, at least a 90. And it makes them competitive. It makes them push themselves, and it challenges them to continue to grow, to continue to seek after knowledge and seek understanding. Well, we had a teacher tell us that was mental abuse when our son got a B on an assignment. He simply asked the teacher, what could I have done? What could I have done to make this assignment better such that I would have gotten an A? And she yelled at him and snapped at him and said, you should just be happy with a B. And he said, I can't be happy with a B. That's not the standard in my household.
Mm.
And she was like, well, what are you talking about? And he told her the standard in my house is 90 or above. Well, we also teach our children that we don't set a standard that we don't then provide you the tools by which to meet it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't set a standard and then drop the ball on how they can meet it. So we have provided every tool available for our children to be able to meet that standard. And so he explained this to the teacher. She sent him to the principal.
Wow. Interesting.
I mean, we've had teachers, like I said, we had, one of our sons, same situation, he got like an 87 or something. And he was like, well, what could I have written better? Or I think it was like a history assignment or something. He asked, how could I have improved this? You would think an educator would welcome that, but it wasn't. And she told him, just be happy with what you got, because most little boys that, like you, they don't get that.
Mm. Interesting.
Like, what is that?
Yeah. Yes.
So we were running into that a lot. And then the situation with the algebra class, we had one teacher tell us, can you get your son to slow down? And we were like, well, is he like making mistakes? Is he, going too fast and so he's making mistakes? She's like, no, he's getting hundreds, but I don't have enough work to keep up with him.
Okay, we're going to homeschool our kids.
Exactly. And with my husband having been a teacher, his first thought was, well, we'll supplement.
Okay.
So we bought them supplemental books. We gave them instructions. If you finish your work early, you pull out your book, you work in your book until the class is ready to move on. One of my son's teachers took the book to go photocopy it to give it to the rest of the class. And he told her, that book is for me because I've done your work and my parents want to make sure I don't sit here and talk and get in trouble.
Right.
And she would not give him his book back.
Wow.
So we had to go get the book.
Interesting.
It
Wow.
was just crazy.
Interesting journey. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you told us, Tauleece, that when you all actually removed your boys out of school, that they went through this period of deschooling, and then you all got started. You were actually transitioning from DC to Texas. So what was the beginnings of this schooling like for you all? Was it a success, challenge, triumph? I mean, your husband had this educational background. Was it a smooth sail? Take us to the very beginning of your schooling journey.
We were very, very blessed in our journey because we sat down there and we had a family meeting with the boys that would be being pulled out of school. So this is what we're thinking of doing. This is why we're thinking of doing it. Here's the benefit in it for you. Here's the benefit in it for our family. We are not ones that really worry about the social aspect ever because our children are very outgoing and they've always been involved in a lot of things outside of school. So their whole social life was not wrapped up in going to public school. And we asked them, what are your thoughts? They were like, can we start tomorrow?
Okay.
So we have never had a child to ask to go back to public school. We've never had a child to say, well, I want to ride the bus. We've never had a child to say, I miss my friends. They became busier when they became homeschoolers than they ever were when they were in public school.
Gotcha.
So for us, that transition was very, very smooth. They, because they were genuinely friends, they liked being each other's classmates because the three older boys are only 2 years apart.
Right.
So we employ peer teaching very early on. We employ getting them to the place where we are coaches or advisors, not standing in front of them teaching them lessons, because we want to prepare them for the level of responsibility that they have to take for themselves when they get to the collegiate level. And we don't want them stumbling because they've been so used to everything being done for them that they don't manage that transition very well.
Yes.
And so from the time they're in the 3rd, 4th grade, they set their day. We buy the books. They set their day. They determine which subjects they're going to do first, because I want them to learn themselves well enough to know, I'm not so good with math first thing in the morning. Maybe I better do math in the afternoon. Because then when you get to college and you start picking your classes, now granted, there's sometimes where you got to take the class when it's offered. But when you get to choose, you know yourself well enough to know, I probably need to put that math class in the afternoon, not in the morning. But they've been practicing that since the third grade, you know. But our journey has not been without hiccups. We did have a situation we like to call education gate, which is the older boys were kind of skimping on doing their work. And we tell them, you don't know when we're going to check your books. So you need to keep up with what you know you're supposed to be doing. And we went to check the books, and those three older ones had not been doing their work or skipping around, or so of course everybody was pointing their finger at the other one, and we shut it down. That's when we had our first blackout. And the blackout is no technology. So we took video games, we took cell phones, well, they didn't have cell phones at the time, but we took TV privileges. They could only use the computer to do schoolwork. But we found that those blackout periods become some of their most creative times. And so now we use them when we feel like, we need to refocus them or we need to recenter them. The current two remaining students are on a current blackout now, and they've been on one for the last about 6 to 8 weeks because they were just, rushing to finish their work, to get on their devices, that kind of thing. But in the blackout, they have rebranded a business, gone to a children's business fair where they made like 60 some dollars. They've gotten back into their art, writing music, their instruments. It makes them have to rely on their own creativity.
Yeah.
So this is their official first blackout because they were so young when the other ones happened that they just kind of were like, okay, whatever. But yeah, this one is tough on them.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I very much appreciate you sharing that. That was going to be my next question because my mantra is no one gets a ticket to perfect. No one.
Right.
In life,
Right.
in homeschool or nothing. So even if everything sounds, your whole beginning sounds like, oh, she got this super all together. Her kids are stellar kids, and I'm sure they are. But, they come with their own little
absolutely
everything. So you shared that so beautiful. So girlfriends, their kids, while college graduates, while very independent learners from what it said, she said they had blackouts and where they were not getting work done. And so if you find that happening in your homeschool, it's not like, oh my goodness, it's the end of the world. It's just time to be back on top of those guys. Give them your eyes and attention and say, I got you. I'm always going to have you. When you think you might.
And I mean, we had the typical, our oldest son and our third son were so talkative that we literally had to move them out of the homeschool room.
Yes.
We put one by the foyer, by the front door.
Yes.
And we put one by the sliding door off the side of the kitchen. We had to kick them out of the schoolroom because that's just them. And we did not want, they were distracting the other students and, just so you still have to do classroom management.
Sure.
They're just your kids. Now, one of our sons did tell us that one of his professors, the son that just graduated, a professor asked him, how is it that you're able to sit in class and not give me a hard time? And he said, well, my parents were my teachers. And if I gave them a hard time, please don't call CPS because this is not what we did. He was like, they could beat me and not feed me. But his point was, I learned a respect for my teachers because my parents were my teachers.
Absolutely.
And they could enforce, a measure of respect and responsibility that maybe a teacher in school just doesn't have the authority to really do.
That's right.
And we could also affect other areas of their lives.
Right.
So it has been a journey, truly a journey. I'm still getting used to only having two at home. That's been still kind of weird for me. and having a boy-girl dynamic at home rather than all the boys.
Right, right.
So even along the way, I'm still learning. My husband is still learning. We're on the countdown. Our daughter's 6th grade, and we tell her all the time, we are on the countdown to you graduating.
I
We're
hear.
ready to shut this school down.
I'm right with you. Like, whoo, yes. And it was called retiring, but so
Yeah,
tell us,
yeah.
contrastly, to Lisi, what has been your most memorable time of homeschooling? You told us your triumphs, your challenges, and that. What has been your most encouraging? And you're saying this is why we homeschool right here. This is why we do and decided to do what we do. Take us to that moment.
That moment for me, and it may be different for my husband, but for me, that moment is a reoccurring moment with my 4th son, because he is our first completely homeschooled
Okay.
child, you know. So when he reaches milestones, we know, and I know, like when he started reading and he became a fluid reader, I was like, I taught my baby to read, you know. It wasn't helping him when he came home from school, but it was really somebody else's primary, you know, responsibility because he was there for 6 or 8 hours. No, it was he and I reading through Lucky Duck. I remember that book, Lucky Duck, and what Lucky Duck was doing every day. And so when my 4th son has milestone moments, those are my homeschool moments because he is our first one to be completely taught by us.
Mm-hmm.
So everything he's gotten from us as his foundation. Now, yes, he's gone. He does summer programs. We make sure of that, in prep for college, but he's also advanced. He's 14 and he's finishing 10th grade. He'll be 15 at the end of this month, and he'll be in the 11th grade. So he will graduate early because
Mm-hmm.
when we started homeschooling, we tried to do pre-K with him. He told us that's baby work.
Mm.
So we just moved on
Yeah.
him. That's baby work. I want big boy work like my brothers. And he's an old soul, but he's always been very advanced. So whenever he has milestone moments, that's that reinforcement of why we started homeschooling. I see it with my daughter too, but I know that I have those moments when I look at him because he's the first one to
Sure.
be hitting them and have gotten there strictly as just a TAP student, a
Right.
Thomas Academy preparatory student. And
Beautiful.
that's always really, really encouraging for me.
Yeah.
So,
Beautiful. Well, girlfriends, let you know we have Tauleece Thomas today on the Girlfriends Guide to Homeschooling show, and I'm so grateful for her taking this time out of her schedule. This
yes,
woman is on the travels, just getting off a plane,
I
contact.
know. Look at my welcome.
Look, oh, she's just going to her new job today, and she has invited us along in this journey. So I am just really heartwarmed that she decided to keep this time. But if you have not shared, please hit the share button on this because sharing is caring. Let
Yes.
others know and hear about this journey that Tauleece is sharing as we transition to the next part of our show, where she just gives us some short bits of insights and nuggets and wisdom on these specific questions. So Tauleece, yeah, these are going to be questions where just to pick your brain,
Okay.
make them short answers, 1 or 2 sentences, and that'll be great. So Tauleece, what has been your mantra or your motto that you have, a quote, your favorite quote that you've used during this homeschooling journey to help you to stay focused moving forward?
Well, it's what we said earlier, that homeschooling is a lifestyle, and so you embrace it. So
Mm-hmm.
when things kind of seem to be like coming together and seem to be challenging the smooth flow, of homeschooling for us, I just remember it's a lifestyle, and
Mm.
lifestyles have to be fluid. We're committed to homeschooling, so that's always going to be the priority, but it is a lifestyle. And when we embrace it, everything else lines up to support it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times, whether it's an assignment or a professional opportunity or some opportunity for the kid, when we just live by that, we're homeschoolers and we embrace it. everything falls into place. And so our motto is and always has been, homeschooling is a lifestyle, embrace it. But one of the mottos that we have for the kid is high standards yield high results.
Mm-hmm. Very
And
good.
that's what's on their t-shirts. High standards yield high results.
Yes. Beautiful. And you already told us that you plan to homeschool all your kids all the way through to the end, wherever that ends.
Yes.
Yeah. What is something that's unique in the Thomas Homeschool Academy that makes you all who you all?
My husband is the primary homeschooler.
Yes.
He was the impetus for it. He is the primary, and I say primary. He doesn't like to teach the lower grades because he doesn't have the patience for the repetition that you have to do with the lower grades. So I am generally their primary teacher until about third grade,
Okay.
fourth grade, and then they transition over, and he becomes their primary teacher, and I'm their secondary teacher. And
Gotcha.
that's very, very unique in the homeschool community for the dad, to be the primary teacher. He picks our curriculum, puts our curriculum together. I plan our trips.
Yeah, I was trying to get him on this show. Hopefully he'll change his mind. You gotta
And
ask
you will.
him. Oh,
He
he's gonna do it?
definitely, yeah, he's going to
Good.
do it. He's just been so busy, and he's literally been traveling for business like once a month himself.
Okay.
So he's traveling right now. The kids are with him
Wow, okay.
on the way to Florida for
Okay.
business.
Okay. Okay. Well, I look
So,
forward to hearing from him and his perspective. What is the best piece of advice you've received, Tauleece, on this journey?
that to trust yourself and trust your kids. Trust yourself that because you're doing this from your heart, that even when you don't know what you're doing, you'll find a way to figure it out, whether it's by tapping a resource of a more experienced homeschooler or doing research online or anything like that. But trust yourself,
Yes.
but also trust your kids. Don't expect them to look like somebody else's kids, do like somebody else's kids. Trust who your kids show them to be, and
Mm-hmm.
teach to that. Teach to that.
Very good. Very good.
So that's what I
What
do.
is your favorite book or online resource or app or something that you can recommend to the homeschooling community?
Wordly Wise.
Mm-hmm.
We use that. We build our language arts curriculum around Wordly Wise.
Yeah.
The 3 boys who have gone to college have all come out of the ACT and the SAT and said, the verbal section was like Wordly Wise, Mom. Thank you. They've told us thank you, for selecting Wordly Wise.
Mm-hmm.
And we swear by Wordly Wise. We
Yep.
we
I'm with
love it.
you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So definitely Wordly Wise.
Yep, I use that all the way to the end until they're actually done here and go
Yeah.
on to college or military,
Yeah,
whatever.
we do
Very
too.
good. All right, so here's the last question, Tauleece, the
Okay.
$1,000,000 question. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. So if you had to do it all over again and start all over back to day number 1 of your homeschooling journey, but you have your current wisdom, current skills, knowledge, convictions, insights, what would be the first thing you'd be sure to implement or change this next turn around?
I would not try to duplicate the classroom, what at home. It took our kids telling us, we don't need y'all to do that. We don't need you to stand up at the whiteboard, Mom and Dad. Can you just give us our work? And if we have questions, we'll come to you. Isn't that what this is supposed to be about?
Mm-hmm.
So if we could do it again, we would not spend that first, when we first started homeschooling, after deschooling, we still kind of almost tried to mimic the classroom environment. And our kids were like, we don't want that. That's not who we are. I thought we were. And so that would be the change we would make. I know that. My husband says that all the time. He says the kids fired us. They
Wow.
had to fire us.
Good.
And they helped us assume our roles as advisors and
Yeah.
coaches.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that. We definitely appreciate that.
I love that. Advisors and coaches. I love that. And I look forward to speaking to you more on a girlfriend chat
Yes.
as we dig into one specific thing. So many good nuggets. So I got to narrow it down to one specific thing that you said that we just need to dig deeper. So very good, Tauleece. I appreciate you so much and all you shared. Hey, listen, any last words of advice to the girlfriends, and what's the best way for them to get in contact with you if they would like to continue this conversation or ask you something specific?
I'm on Facebook, Tauleece Thomas. You can reach me through Homeschool BFF. I am the activities coordinator for the group. You can reach me through HRN, Homeschool Resource Network, the Facebook page. You can reach me through my email, tauleecethomas@yahoo.com. So any one of those means, if you reach out, if you send me a friend request, I'm always happy to talk to other moms.
Beautiful. Any last words of advice for these girlfriends and guy friends?
Yes, keep having fun. Enjoy the journey and keep having fun. Trust your gut. Trust that you're doing what's best for your children.
Beautiful.
And you will see the result that you're looking for.
Beautiful.
So I
All
would
right,
say that's it.
girlfriends,
All right, well, I'm going to go to work now.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Tauleece. We'll let you go. You go ahead. I'm going to wrap this up here. I'll be in touch with you. So, girlfriends, you're the
All right.
of the 5 people you hang out with. And this past hour, you've been hanging out with Tauleece Thomas out of Texas, right now in Tennessee. So listen, keep up the momentum and continue to connect with positive resources and influences who's going to make a positive impact into your life. So thank you so much for joining here on today. You all become that positive influence that others can draw from. Just think of it as a village, a give and a take, supporting and encouraging. So thank you all for joining in. Remember to share, hit the share button. On some of you all, it's right at the top of your screen there. So for some of you, it's on the bottom. Hit the share button so that this can go onto your page, and that those who may be either considering homeschooling will be able to, glean from this resource and get some insights. Those who are already homeschooling, they can also just get some encouragement and some new ideas and thought processes to move forward in their homeschooling journey. Go over to Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling. This is the Facebook page where you can follow and like us there. We're on YouTube. We're on a podcast, which is Girlfriends Chat. You can find us on all platforms of podcasts where you listen to. And then Tumblr. Look for Girlfriends' Guide to Homeschooling with Angela Jordan Perry, and on Instagram. So you all, lots of ways to stay connected, lots of ways to be encouraged, and lots of ways to just be able to glean